It's lunchtime and the Brooklyn Cafe is open for business. Live from the AMP Media Studios, Dawn and Freddie S. and their team are ready to serve up a huge portion of fun for lunch with friends and neighbors. So let's break open that lunch pail and unwrap that sandwich you brought and take a front row seat in the Brooklyn Cafe and get ready to enjoy some humor and hot topics. It's time to get a healthy serving of hope and happiness to help your day go by with a smile. Your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S., are ready to talk about food, health, dating, or just plain dream making. If you have a story to share, movie review, restaurant critique, or just a coincidental thing that happened to you, call in toll free 888-994-4995, Studio A right now. Sit back and enjoy your lunch break at the Brooklyn Cafe. Here are your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S.
And he's back.
On the road to make a
I don't know why Josh plays that.
He's back. I
'Cause
missed
I'm not
him.
an Eagles fan.
No, he is, though.
So what? I'm gonna play the horns, the Met song, on his show. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play Diaz's trumpet on the Birds show on Mondays, and that's Mondays. What time is he on?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. If he shows up on a Monday, because sometimes it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
We've been off a couple Mondays, so
I know.
we got to get that rocking and rolling and make some more room for you on the table.
I didn't do that. Hold on, don't do that. Get lift. There's coffee stain there that you left.
Sorry.
Anyway, welcome to Brooklyn Cafe on a beautiful
Friday.
sloshy Friday. That's just
Friday.
gonna leave a mess.
It's all good. January 6th it is. Three
Now
Kings Day.
I was gonna ask you to take the day off today.
Because it's Three
Because
Kings
of
Day?
January 6th. No,
Which
because
January
of the
6th?
nonsense. So
Oh.
2 years ago. But then I found out that Frank and Lynn were coming. I said, we can't take off. We have to do this.
What are you protesting that? It just means you're giving credence to chaos.
You know, everybody says that, but it isn't credence. You know, California didn't have any water for, 5 years, and now they have too much water. And the change of temperature of everything that's happening on the earth, and wars, and this and that, and the madman calls for peace, and they bombard him because of it. There's nothing flowing correctly.
You got to read this.
And Frank has told us over and over again about the changes that need to happen before we get to where we got to be. So I decided, 2 years ago was another change, another craziness, and he's written about it. And it's just maddening what's going on around us right now.
But we're celebrating the last day of Christmas, the 12 days of Christmas, right? The tree's coming down today, the ornaments are coming
It's
off.
not the last day of Christmas.
It's the 12th day of Christmas.
Every day is Christmas.
Here it
This
is,
is how
pretty
you
much.
look at it. In my life, it is.
I know you got new Christmas presents today, new toys, new phone lines, new wires coming in.
Well, those wires aren't toys, but and we got a new rug that we had done. I wanted to put this at the door over there. Maybe when we move the tree, we'll take a look at it. And it says "Awaken."
Yep.
And I think that was Frank again that inspired that whole conversation. I think we had that conversation a while ago, about a month, because it took a month to get it.
Yep.
On Awaken, and it's time that we wake up. And he's nodding his head over there. He knows what I'm talking about.
Book Club Friday.
Book Club Friday. Okay.
So last weekend I got to go home and do some reading. And the hard thing is I have to remember to bring all the books back so we can talk about them when I read them. They're back,
bringing
though.
nothing back.
They're back. I brought back Gabriel's Chalice. I brought back Lynn's book, The Reuniting of Two Past Lives. I'm taking the next one home tonight, along with Reuniting Two Past Lives, because what I found out is these wonderful authors that we have, their font is large enough that I can read them without glasses. And I know you may all laugh about that, but sometimes when I'm sitting outside, to have to sit outside, it's hot, and put on my glasses.
That's why I put a chair outside, by the way. You see
So,
the chair out in front of the place?
I
That's
can
so she
actually read
go out
this
and
outside without my glasses. This book, Gabriel's Chalice, is Frank Ruffolo's first book that he wrote, and I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, when did he write this? When did he write about the Russian potato plague? When did he write about the vaccine demise, messing up people's immune systems? When did we talk about peace and earthquakes and...
What year was that?
What year did you write this, Frank?
2007,
I think it says
2006.
Yeah, it says 2006 in here. 2006 copyrighted, 2011 I guess is when it first came out, but we're in 2023 now, and it's like living 2020 all over again, is all I can tell you.
Now, before we get to Frank and his amazing
Yeah.
Technicolor Dreamcoat, yesterday Lynn had our friend, a
Joe
police
Kelly.
officer, Joe Kelly, on the air, explaining his book as well. And they did a fantastic job. I looked up and the show was over. I said, what happened? Because people came in during the show and we're trying to sell more shows to different people in different aspects and different looks. But Joe is another player. I didn't even tell you this. You know, Joe's message that he wants to talk about, him and his wife, they're talking about it, I have to call him today, they want to do a show about help exists, that hotline, and he's going to be the first one to answer the phone to help any of the Sea of Blue, any of the cops or any of the first responders that need it. He understands it because he did that work. In any case, mental, drugs, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's no judgment here. Everything's confidential. He is really excited about doing something like this. And it comes on a day when we had the two gentlemen in studio, on a day that that gentleman that was injured on the football field, they took the tube out and he's talking again. And it comes on first responders. They saved that man's life. Now, first responders, that's what they do. They save lives, right? But it was just unbelievable that whole scenario took place, and they had like a dry run. They'd never done that before at that level. Monday night, millions watching. My goodness, they hit it out of the park. They saved the man's life.
They saved his life.
But they also saved a lot of spirits, because everybody who had condemned and said this guy is gone, because I didn't see any life in him, and I told you this. I said, this life is gone. The spirit of everybody around us, and I'm going to bring this up with Frank because, you know, Frank, when he talks in a lot of mystery, because sometimes it's the spirit of one's soul,
well,
not
I think
the
it's the
element.
power of prayer also.
Well,
that this
but again,
kid was
that's all
surrounded
spirit
by,
that has to
yes.
be,
True.
that pencil has to be sharpened a little bit more. You have to be more accountable and take accountability for how we feel, as opposed to just saying, you know, they saved his life. It's more than just that. They saved the nation for a day, not forever, but for a day, having this kid off the ventilator and talking, which is amazing. But I wanted just to point that out because Joe Kelly may be another player in the future. It was just, and Lynn doesn't know this because he was on the air. There were 4 things going on around you because Gina was in there as well.
Crazy.
And everybody was talking about the impact of what your show was doing. And again, in spirit, which is what Frank is good at talking about as well. So is that what you meant, some of the change that has to occur in spirit?
That's part of the change. We have to become aware of each other. We're not aware of each other right now. We're just
Coexisting.
Everything is me, me, me. Everything is me, me, me today, and we can't be a me society anymore. We have to become more aware of each other and aware of God's presence.
And it's amazing because this young man who fell to a heart attack and had to resuscitate him twice is what I'm hearing. I mean, there are different stories about it. And now that he is on the way back, I don't know if he'll ever play again, but he's on his way back to being a person. The nation was watching that since its inception on Monday night to today. That's all you heard about. If you turn on the radio, that's what everybody's talking about. It's about the ability of bringing this young man back. So I got to tell you, I wish I had the phone number to the first responders. You know, I raised my glass because it lifted my spirits. Even if the men stone side Carrera looks like he's going back to Minnesota, it's okay because this kid made it. And everybody says, Freddie, why are you so gung-ho? You don't know the guy. It doesn't matter. It's the saving of his life. What they did to get there was amazing.
Did you hear the first thing first thing he said after?
That we win the game.
Who won the game? Is it what the doctors told him?
You won the game of life.
You won the game of life.
Yeah.
Amen to that. But it's about humanity.
It is.
And I got to read this book over the weekend. I almost kept quoting it during the week, and then I realized it's Frank's book, but so much of it is true. But it's the power of prayer. And if you read this book, you're going to see the power of faith and everything in this and all the things that we talk about here. It's uncanny, Frank, what we've gone through and what you wrote about 10 years before it happened. But ultimately, it comes down to bringing people together and what faith and prayer can do.
Well, it's uncanny because meeting these guys at the same time, more or less, and putting together some of the things that Lynn has brought forward, that Frank has brought forward, sometimes you don't see the amount of work that you're producing because you aren't put together at the front lines of what we go through. You know, Spirit of Life. My son, Gio, watched the show with Frank that you on, and he woke up on a Saturday, and we worked for 6 hours on bringing out
Spirit Life TV.
Spirit Life TV, which we are now going to enhance all of these moments, for lack of a better word, all of these moments that are occurring as we speak, because he woke me up to the fact that we do have to be better to one. We got to be better. You know that sign I used to tell you all the time? I got to be better. I got it from Frank. He don't even know it. But we are on a mission to make things better. One drop, one soul at a time. So you either buy in or you don't. And if you don't, I think Frank will explain exactly what's going on around us.
Let me tell you one quick thing. The Gabriel's Chalice is there's 3 books in that anthology right now, but I just wrote the 4th, which sort of ends it. And in the 4th book, in the last couple of weeks, NASA came out with 2 stories. One, there's a planet similar to Earth, very close, only 4 or 5 light years away, called Proxima b. It's a water planet. And the James Webb Telescope just photographed during the night what appears to be city lights.
Wow.
Because it looks like a picture of Earth of like a major city at night where you see all the lights. That's what they pictured. That's the picture they took from Proxima b. They got the same lights. So they don't know what it is, but it looks like city lights. And then NASA also just came out within the last week that they think there's life on Titan, and they want to colonize Titan.
What is Titan?
It's one of the moons of Jupiter, I think.
All right, so I have to
Okay.
ask
Wait a minute. I'm confused. Is this the book or is this reality?
This is reality. All right?
Because you a scary
Hold
dude, I
on.
got to tell you.
In my new book, we have a colony on Titan that I just wrote,
Of course you did.
and we have sent drones to investigate the life on Proxima b, and we're sending a spaceship there to talk with and communicate with the civilization there.
See, and that's my question. The
And I wrote
amount
that book 5 months ago.
of detailed information, and there it is.
Now I got to tell you, I know somebody that works
See the lights?
with these people,
Yep.
with NASA, okay? And they have been having these meetings in the last couple of weeks. I'm not even supposed to tell you this. She will shoot me. Oops. He'll shoot me if I tell you this. But they've been having some kind of meetings because they sent that thing of orbit around the moon on the dark side. We've never done anything on the dark side of the moon. And this thing came back loaded
With lights?
with information. Information. So all of a sudden the race is back on to have something on the moon that takes us to Mars and everything else. So something's going on. And then he comes in here and he's showing me lights.
But the amount of information that you have in here, in your books, the details of it, is it just spirit channeling through you, or are you researching to find all of
I
this?
researched some of it, but I get the information, then I said, well, let me research this because I don't know if should write this or not.
That's what's amazing.
For example, on Gabriel's Chalice, I have a moon base. There's a moon base on Gabriel's Chalice where they're mining water on the moon to produce rocket fuel.
And diamonds, just in case anyone was wondering where there might be extras.
You know, I gotta ask, Frank, the writing of the books, I know you want to sell books because the more you sell books, the more people get informed about things that are actually happening. You wrote them over 10 years ago.
Yep.
So we're going backwards to come forward. Now we're going present to go forward. I mean, I gotta understand where you, and you know what I'm looking at because you're smiling.
Well, because when I wrote in 2007 is taking place now, so I'm back then I was going forward.
Right. So
now I'm
today-
writing.
Yeah.
What's happening in the future, and again I'm going forward. Because in the next book, Tres Archangelis, NASA, there's an incident in Tres Archangelis where we set events into motion which caused an asteroid to head to Earth that will end all life. And how that happened is we were mining an asteroid for the value, money. And that asteroid split. And NASA just released that they're tracking an asteroid that has so much value that if they mined this asteroid and gave the value to the people on Earth, every person would get $75 million.
The funny thing is, didn't we just crash one of our spaceships into a...
And it moved.
And they moved it. But they still don't know how far because it has to break the orbit. Because it was collided with the Earth. Not today, not tomorrow, but they made sure that wouldn't happen. So how do they know that?
Where do you get your information from?
I told you, I got somebody on the inside.
You and Frank seem to have the
The second
info.
book on that is they did the same, NASA does the same thing. They crash something into try to crash something into the asteroid.
So are we looking to inform today's books? I should ask her, because she's the one editing this up. But are we looking to inform today for tomorrow? And Frank, I know what you're going to tell me. I know what you're going to tell me because you never put a timeline together. I get it. But is that what we're doing? Are we talking about today, present day, and let's get this thing done? Here's the information?
I'm talking about, this is, in present day terms, in my story, this will possibly, could happen in the future.
Well,
So
we're reading
you
that they're
better be
happening.
prepared now.
I mean, the book talks about stocking up, just like we did for the pandemic. When you called me that Wednesday and says to me, you got to go to the grocery store, I need you to stock up on food and water. We're shutting down. And I said, are you insane? Boca Raton is not shutting down. And you said, I'm telling you, get extra food and water. Remember the mass shortage? Mm-hmm. Read this book.
It's there.
They tell them, get extra food. He tells his wife, get extra food and water in the house. There's a shortage for mass in Russia. I mean, Frank, it's everything we went through these past 3 years.
I can't, it amazes me too, I get the information, I put it down, and then, 6 or 7 months later, 3 years later, I go, wow.
Christine,
I
what do
just
you
wrote this.
think? Are you just wow when these things happen?
Isn't that wild
It's-
to wake up and say, and you don't know what he's going to come out with? And then you have everybody thinking. You got me thinking. I wake up in the morning and say, what the hell would Frank think today about what I just heard? And then he comes in here and you're talking about lights on a planet and everything.
Well, I want to
else.
read the next book. I got to see what's happening next.
It's just funny because, and we're going to get Lynn involved in this conversation
Yep.
as well, because Lynn does the author thing and he teaches the author thing, and he has a different take on how to present books and knowledge and information, so forth and
Because
so
it's
on.
interesting, as Frank's looking at the future coming back, we're looking at the past
Coming
going
back.
forward, right? So it's a different look. We're looking at it with past lives from Lynn, and then Frank's taking us forward. But ultimately, it's all about spirit and faith.
And is it past life? Is it past life to sort of talk about present life? Do people have the responsibility? And he's laughing. People have a responsibility because of past lives, of where you were then, where you are now. And it looks like sometimes you get these deja vu things. But don't we have accountability of back then to now, what we're supposed to be doing and thinking?
Well, it gets really interesting because I'm meeting more and more people who don't call them past lives. They call them parallel lives, which means that all these lives are actually happening all at the same time because the only time that exists is now. And so I think that we've always called them past lives because our minds can think in a linear fashion, but the human mind is not really capable of thinking in a circular fashion, that literally the only thing that exists in this moment and that everything is happening in this moment. And even for Louise and I, going through the writing of the book, we still kept it as something that happened in the past.
Right.
But now we're starting to see a different aspect of it, because now we're seeing how not only is the past informing the present, but the present is informing the past. So if that's happening, then is it just all of the present informing the present? but because we have these filters and these veils that separate these lives one from the other, we don't necessarily know that we're living all these lives at the same time. So again, it's not that you have to believe that, but it's another potential perspective on how we can look at it. And you know, we've talked before about beliefs, and you know, I look at things and I say everyone has their own belief system or their own beliefs, and my job is not to change their beliefs. That's why some people resonate with some things and some don't. But they will decide. Each person will individually decide what they believe. That's why we have all these different religions on the planet. None of them are bad or wrong. They're just different.
I got to ask both of you guys, and we're going to go to commercial also. Do you think our beliefs can change? What we're...
I got a better question.
Okay.
I think change is required. I think adapting and change is what's missing.
Just think of what you believed, at least what I believed as a child growing up, all this information that my parents and teachers told me to believe or not to believe. And religion is one of those things. And what I believe now, I still believe in my religion, but I believe in just a greater view of it's religion. We should really just bring people together and with a ultimate faith of something. But it should not be as divided as we're trained as children to keep it divided.
Right, and I think what Frank said earlier about, you know, that we need to look at this as we, not as just I.
Yeah.
Right, and if because religions are very exclusive, right? If you don't believe what I believe, I'm going to exclude you from my group. And so there's really no room to bring people together. But if we say, you know what, I can see how you can believe that, and you know, if you're open to new information, you can gain other beliefs without having to let go of the thing that you hold most dear. That's where a lot of us have difficulty because we think it's all or nothing, right? If you don't believe all of it, you don't believe any of it.
Well, hold on. Isn't isn't religion supposed to believe that something exists that's bigger than us? Something does exist because we didn't come out of a puppet's head or something. And then without changing the interpretation of what that means, the bottom line is that we all humans living on one little marble, right? So common sense tells you that you should be living together. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, the intelligence. It doesn't make any sense to me that you have all these different factors, which should be a blessing because you get to learn from one another. So shouldn't the bottom line here be to believe and to have faith that maybe the bigger thing that we can't put a finger on is the ability to get along? I mean, isn't that what it's all about? You want to call it God, you want to call it this, it doesn't make a difference. Is that what's in it?
That's your reading for the weekend. There's your homework assignment. I
got no problem with that. I don't understand. I was an altar boy, and I loved the Catholic Church. I loved the Protestant Church. I love them all because I've been to all of them. But no one human being, and that could be man or woman, because I was married the second time by a female, is going to dictate to me how I see God. To me, it's being with all of you. That to me is faith. Good, bad, or indifferent. I don't care if you like me, don't like me. I'm going to do everything I can in my power for you to like me. But isn't that what faith should be?
You should have, not to put one religion over another. You should have your own belief system, but you should believe that there is a God controlling everything we do. How you want to believe that is up to you.
But isn't the aspect of saying to people, I wish Kenny was here, of saying to people that we get along, we love one another, we get along with one another, isn't that the definition that everybody can accept, whether it's G-O-D or G-E-S-U-S? It doesn't matter what you want to call it?
Well, I think what's very prophetic, if you take a look, I saw a picture somebody posted, I saw a picture on the internet. It was a picture of the Milky Way galaxy. Now, the Milky Way galaxy is in an expansive universe that's almost infinite, right? And someone put an arrow, a dot, on one of these tiny little dots in the Milky Way galaxy and the arrow said, "You are here." So, what are we doing? I mean,
It's true.
yeah, we're on a planet that's 15,000 miles in diameter. But look where we are. We're in the middle of, we're nothing. Compared to the universe, we're nothing.
I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, I asked the priest, why do stars exist? Why are there stars? I asked many priests, many different people, many adults, and everybody gave me a different version of soul and this and this and that. And one guy said to me, it's God's gift to you what you see. And I said to him, yeah, but don't we see the same thing? He says, no, that's why you're asking the question. And that's always stayed with me. Why do stars exist? Why do we exist? Why is it that this thing around us exists more than anything else? So to me, faith is to try to get along with one another. And we ain't doing a great job of that right now. No. But when something happens, we're first responders, circling back to that, save a life, save a soul, to me, that's what it's all about for me right there. For me. Doesn't have to be for you, doesn't have to be for them. But ever since I've met them, they've opened up my eyes to the possibilities. Everybody can write a book. And if you can't, if you don't think you can, Lynn will help you do it, Frank will help you do it, but you can because everybody has a story.
You know, you always tell me the best books written are those that are read.
That's
because
right.
if they're not read, then you don't know what the words are.
That's true.
I'm telling you, the power of these books, we're going to get into these when we get back from commercial break and all that it means. Apparently, they just found some new Aztec or Mayan civilizations. Tons of them. He's shaking his head. So, more to come with that. Stay tuned. Give us a call. Same phone number?
Yes.
888-994-4995, Studio A. We'll be right back.
Known for his Art Deco Cubist style and compositions with dancing saturated color, Ken Bieberman has lived and breathed art his whole life. From the early 80s, he's influenced the Art Deco district of Miami Beach. Featured in numerous restoration projects, hotels, galleries, and clubs, Bieberman creates for everyday folks and celebrity clientele. He's also the proprietor of Art Repro, a giclée and scanning company in Pompano Beach. When it comes to scanning high resolution, size is not an issue. Professionally scanning art up to 10 feet and 64 inches in width, Art Repro utilizes state-of-the-art equipment. On quality canvas or paper, archival ink and printing mediums are put to use. Art Repro ensures colors are true and every nuance of the art is captured, including the canvas weave. Perfection is the priority. Contact artist Ken Bieberman today at 954-547-0095 or visit his website www.artrepro.net.
Being a successful woman in business means having the courage to own who you are. We understand the challenges faced by women, and we are here to help. Our team is here to develop the best strategy designed just for you. Your path is unique, and with the right tools, you can accomplish your dream. From radio to TV, from podcasting to magazines, we create the visibility to amplify your impact in business. At New Dawn Media, we are here to help bring your message forward and help your business flourish. It is time for your message to be seen and your voice to be heard. Contact us at 866-224-5422 or brooklyncafe.tv. Your voice can make a difference.
Le Sorel Restaurant, home of the authentic Italian tradition, offers a large menu that consists of seafood, steak, homemade pasta, brick oven pizza, and homemade desserts including a wide wine selection. We also have the best bar in Boca Raton with delicious cocktails, homemade limoncello, cappuccino, Italian espresso, brandy, and other specialties. Open every day with a lunch and dinner menu. For more information or to make a reservation, contact lesorelrestaurant.com or call 561-235-5301.
There is no way to ignore it. You hear it on the news, online, from your friends and family. What happened to my money? Whether it got hit by falling stocks and bonds, with the coronavirus, shrunk by a floundering 401k with low interest rates, and is riding the extreme ups and downs of the stock market with political elections. Many Americans are worried about their money and how they're going to retire. Help protect your financial future now and call J.D. Melberg for your complimentary book from a leading financial firm that shows you ways not to run out of money whether the market goes up or down. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can protect your money for a lifetime. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits of annuities from hundreds of top-rated insurers, helping you to find ways to get up to 33% more income in retirement. That's right. 2 books, both absolutely free, for calling J.D. Melberg. Help protect your financial future.
Call 877-643-3015.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
It's funny because all the Eagle fans are saying, "Go Josh." Yeah, right. I have to change that a little bit.
So hopefully we're going to have Sally Bernard back in studio on Monday to fill us in on how her honeymoon went, honeymoon cruise.
Are they still married?
I think there's some married. She brought this for us over Christmas, which is
Very
lovely.
cool.
I have to put some flowers in here. You know, they say you can't ever have an empty vase. So I got to put something in there.
Ow, this is heavy.
I know, it's heavy, so I got to be careful with that. Isn't that beautiful?
She made this?
She made that.
L-O-V-E, it says. Nice.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah,
Careful.
but this bad boy's heavy.
I know. Got to be careful with that. We've got Frank Ruffolo and Lynn Everard joining us, our editors, our authors of the Brooklyn Cafe Show and AMP2 TV Productions. It's interesting how you can bring 2 different people together, different life experiences, different writings, but ultimately
It's the same.
it's a similar message,
It's
isn't it?
a similar message. They paths taken.
Which is really interesting. And Lynn, you talk about parallel lives, and Freddie always says, we don't manifest. And he and I always have this conversation. We don't manifest, it's already happened. We have to catch up. And I guess this is for you as well, Frank, right? We're just catching up. But to live parallel lives means the life you lived with Louise here is similar to the life you're living now.
Well, it doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean it's similar. It means that it's essentially happening at the same time.
And is that like time travel?
Right, because the human mind has a real tough time with anything that's not linear. Right? We're used to the 24-hour day and the hands on the clock and all that stuff. And we think there's step 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's all linear, it's all in a certain order. And we get really unnerved when we start thinking that maybe all this stuff is somehow happening at once. Because the first question is, well, how and why? And we don't know. I mean, we don't necessarily have to know. Why is one of those really powerful questions that often leaves us more frustrated than it does satisfied. Because there's some things in life we will never know why. And, people say, I want closure. And as if why is going to give you closure. So if I knew why they left, then somehow it wouldn't matter as much that they did. Right? That's the story we're telling ourselves, that we have to have closure. Most people when they end a relationship and they say they need closure, they don't want closure. They want a second chance. They're just calling it closure. Well, I can only talk to this person so we can close it, but that's not what they really want to do. They want another shot at making it work because they realize somewhere along the way, maybe they're going to miss this person or whatever it's going to be. And so we do that a lot with our minds. We try to make sense of things that don't necessarily make sense. And if we spend all our time trying to make sense out of what happened in our lives in the past, we take all the energy away from actually living our lives in the present moment. Right? You can't live the past and you can't live the future. If you live in the past, it's called regret. And if you try to live in the future, it's called worry. And neither one of those is going to buy us anything. So the only thing we can do is live in the present moment.
Well, it's funny. I always ask, why is it that some people have the ability to tell you what's going to happen? And there's somebody that I met who explained it to me, the magical number of 3. This is going back a while. And 3 is the past, the present, and the future. And we live in the present. But like you just said, things are happening at the same time, and the mind doesn't pick up on the other 2. But some of us have the ability of putting themselves, their present, in your future. And it was shown to me in this direction. And what happens is when their present is in your future, they can tell you what they see. So when they said this to me, I sat down, I had a tall glass of beer because I could not believe that if you think about it hard enough, it makes sense. There are certain people that can tell you this is what's going to happen. Or they'll tell you roundabout, don't do this because they believe it's a spiritual thing and they don't want to say, wait a minute, people are going to come at me and they're going to throw money at me and that's not why God gave me this gift. Don't go under that door or don't go around it. And they don't tell you what they see, but they actually do see your third deal in their present time. So I don't know if that has something to do with what you said, because you're right. We live in 3 different parallel lives. And you have to be able to see your present parallel life, but there are others that can see not only the future, and it's the way they do it, which is the gift, but they can see the past. And then you're sitting in the present, and you got 2 people that can actually do both in different aspects, which is really cool if you think about it.
It's all interesting. You know how I always say you have a way with words, and when you write beautifully. You don't think you do, but I send out proposals, and you talk, and I type them. Frank doesn't say a lot, but his gift of the written word and how he describes it, I think maybe part of the message is he wants you to figure this out. Lynn as well, your gift of when you write and help people publish and bring their stories forward. When we sit and we interview and we ask questions, we never get the true essence of who they are. But by reading what these authors write, you get at least I get a better understanding of the messages that you're trying to convey and the thought process. And you're going to read the book and you're going to have a whole different take than I did. And everyone's going to have a different mindset, which is sometimes why I like books better than movies, because your version of the book is your version of the book. The movie is what the producer is showing you.
It's his version.
It's his version, right? But I learn a lot more by reading both of your books than talking to you. So I implore all of you, order these books, because you're going to get a whole different understanding, and it's going to resonate with each and every one of your memories, your ideas, your beliefs differently. And they're going to go, what'd you say this morning? Things that make you go, huh? Things that make you go, huh?
And this week we met with Tony, a.k.a. James Brown. And he sat over there.
We've got to put those in.
And we have to put in his commercial. He has an event on
Martin Luther King
Day, which is a week from this Sunday. And we'll get to that. But if you sit down and talk to certain people, things begin to happen. You begin to see other things on them. Maybe this is what Lynn is talking about. You begin to witness certain past, certain futures, certain things of where they've been, how they've been and how they act. And Tony's the type of guy who I think he's actually talking to James Brown because he worked with him for so many years. And he's actually looking over his shoulder and having the conversation quietly. But if you listen enough and you watch enough, things like this happen. I think that we all have the ability to look, learn, and listen. But you have to want to do it. I think the want is the aspect on this thing. And I think that Frank's books sort of open up your want gate. Is that a thing? A want gate? Open up the gates and go get some want?
No, I think it's more of you're not alone gate. Because we all
that's
have
in there
our,
too.
but we all have our mindsets, right? What we believe, what we want to believe, what we open our minds to believe. And when I read Frank's book, you realize, at least for me, I realized my beliefs, other people want to have faith. They need to, but some need to see it before they believe it. And the book's a perfect example. You see these great acts of God, truly, in the angels, and you hear the gifts of the angels. Sometimes people have to see and hear before they believe
Well, I
it.
want to ask Frank, when people want, a lot of people want. There's a whole lot of want. I was taught an old saying, how's it feel to want? But is it real? Do they really want, or they just saying what they think you want to hear?
I think people are looking for an answer, and they don't know where to get it. Is what people are out, they have no idea. They're looking for an answer of what is life, where did I come from, how are we here, and what is all this? And they don't know how to find that answer.
Does it matter who's giving them the answer?
It depends on if they're being given the answer in good faith or bad faith.
But how do they?
Because you can get bad answers.
You can get bad advice. You can
You
get
can
bad
get bad
anything.
advice from anything.
But how do you? Number one, I guess if they pose the question or they don't pose the question, how do you determine that you're getting an opportunity to answer your own question?
They have to open up their mind and really think if the answer they've been given is the real path. To what
Is
they're
it
looking
trust? You have to trust somebody.
for.
that's giving-
They have to trust themselves to believe what they've been given, if that's true or not. Because they can be given false information.
Correct. But sometimes they're giving information they have to make up their own
They're going to have to make up their own mind.
mind, right? Because sour means a lot of different things to different people. I know people, they eat lemons and they think they're sweet. To me, they're sour as all can be. So sour can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So
But when I try, and the messages I try to give in my book is, here is the answers you're looking for, and I've displayed it in my story. You're going to have to then make a decision whether you want to take this path or a similar path to get to where you want to be.
all right, now I want to get into the deeper end of the pool on both guys because they're here. We might as well ask the
Well,
question.
I do want to ask Lynn, because I open up your book to speak your truth, and that's kind of our hashtag for the year. And you talk about that you can't honor yourselves and your experiences without speaking your truth. You can say things, but it's not truly your truth. We're not honoring ourselves.
Right. So I posted something on social media yesterday or the day before, and it really was about where many of us are at is that we can't look at what we are being presented as the truth in the world without knowing the truth of who we are. The same as that if you, and so for most of us, virtually all of us, we want to have meaning in our lives. We want to know that we lived a meaningful life, that we did something, or you know, that our time here wasn't just spent spinning our wheels and in vain. And so for many of us, we get our meaning from our purpose or from our calling. And so when we know that part of ourselves, and so in a sense, that's why we're here. And so now we can operate from that place and say, well, if I do things that support my current understanding of why I'm here, because it can change over time. But as long as I'm honoring that and knowing who I am, then I'm in a position to speak my truth because my truth is me. The challenge we have is that many of us have taken on identities and labels and beliefs from other people that are not us. And so if you were in I know someone who came from a family of dentists, and everybody in the family was a dentist, so the expectation was that he was going to grow up and be a dentist. And he did. But did that mean he was happy being a dentist? Because maybe he wanted to be something else. So he would have this underlying frustration. He might make a lot of money, but he would have this underlying frustration that he didn't, not only that he didn't know his truth, didn't discover his truth, and then didn't speak and ultimately live his truth.
Do you think actions, and Louise talks about it in here, actions speak louder than words when speaking your truth? You're walking the walk versus talking the talk?
Because your truth doesn't really mean all that much if you're not acting on it. Your truth becomes, all your truth is a slogan if you don't actually act on it. You know, we have people that throw around the terms love and light, right? It sounds like such an amazing, wonderful thing.
Right.
But we all have a shadow side. And we've been taught in our society to suppress our shadow side. The problem is that it's not really about suppressing our shadow, it's about taking responsibility for it, owning it, and managing it. Because the truth is that there's no power for the light without the shadow. That's where the power comes from. So if you're running away from your shadow and you're being love and light, you just have a slogan. You're not actually living a world of love and light.
Living your truth.
You're just tossing this around and it sounds good, and you know, it's almost like a spiritual virtue signaling kind of thing.
It's funny, I said that to you this morning. I had to make this phone call yesterday, and I really didn't want to do it because I didn't want to do it. And I thought, all right, I can't just speak what I say and say I'm this empowered woman and we do what we do without actually having to do it. And I had to think about it and hold that in my heart and say, all right, you have to walk the walk of everything you say you do, and I had to do what I had to do. But it's true. You can't just say it. You have to actually walk it. And Frank, you do it every day. You come in, you walk it, you share it, you help with your anointings. You and faith and everything that you believe in and the greater power is who you are.
Right. But that, he was right. You can't, everybody wants to walk in the light, but they also have to take responsibility for the dark side of their life, because everybody has a dark side. So if you ignore that and say, well, I'm not a dark side, I'm just a saint. Well, maybe. If you act like one and profess to be one, you could possibly be a saint. But most people are in their, most people, I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people are in their respective houses of worship every week, pounding their chest and saying how great they are, and then they're going out and cheating people at the store because they don't want, you know. So it's, they're putting on an image of, yeah, they're great, but they're not living that they're great.
So they go to church and they're angels, and when they leave church, they turn back into their.
They turn back to, you know, yeah. They're only good in church and say, see how great I am. I'm pounding my chest. I'm going to pray and say how great I am, and then they go back outside and they live their lives like no.
Like what brought them to church.
Speaking your truth, it's the actions.
So if you're gonna act a certain way to live in the light and be that way, and profess and show that to people, then you're gonna have to live that way.
Well, it's not even about the act that way. You are what you are.
You are what you are.
And if you're not going to accept truth, then, and I was going to answer to you in the deep end, you ever meet people who want to, say they want to, is a better phrase, want to live a different life, want to be involved, la, 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 and then they go out and there's something else. They're just the opposite. California, there was a church, it was on HBO, a special, and they talk about these guys just got thrown into jail for all sorts of bad stuff. And I'm not even going to bring it up, but their following is huge. The church is still open. They couldn't close the church down. And the followers, they interviewed them. They says, no, we want our pastor back. And whoever else got thrown into jail about what they did. And I'm sitting there and going, you want him back for what? I mean, he raped and pillaged and children and everything else. What do you want him back for? And it says, none of that is true. So here we are again in a standstill. Do we defend, as the Bible says, the sheep? Or do we defend the wolf? How do we fix something like that?
Where God works, where God walks, the devil walks. He's always there, waiting for the right time. And if we give him that time, that opportunity, he's going to take it. It's right in the Bible.
And we got to trust.
It was right in the Bible when when Jesus was out in the desert for 40 days before he started his ministry, and the devil kept tempting him and tempting him and tempting him, and he just said, "You can't tempt me." The devil it says, well, the devil left and waited for the opportune time, and that's what he does. He's going to wait for the opportune time.
Now I got to ask.
Give him the opportune time, he's going to take it.
I got to ask you, and I don't want you getting mad at me, but I got to ask you. You know, we talked about the fishes, how Jesus fed the masses with 2 fish, and we talked about this. And the mass to me is putting the seed in the mind. You know, the greatest book ever written has been the Bible. It's been written so many different ways in English and this and this and this and that. But isn't the bottom line to that book is that it's the right way that we should live with one another. I don't want to hear about Jesus and apostles and Jerusalem and the book according to whatever. All of it, when you open it, talks about the positivities of what we should be doing with one another, right? The commandments and the whole nine. But the only time I see people listen to the book is when they either go to church or temple or I don't know where they go. It's always a religious setting. And they're made small. Saying that you have sinned and you're small and guilt, that's not teaching faith, though. That isn't the way this thing is going to work out, because you're going to go right back to the way you were, no?
It depends on who's doing the teaching in the establishment you're attending.
Exactly. Like in
how they
California.
teach it. Yeah, you can teach it that way. And the church has taught it that way for many years when we were growing up. Fear.
Fear.
And it's changing now. The new church, my church, I can't speak for every church, but I can only speak for what I experienced. It's changing now. There's less of a fear factor involved, and more of
Closer to your mic.
what was taught in the Bible about loving one another, respecting one another, and with the basic teachings that we're told, that the philosophy that was given by Jesus and the church about how you should treat one another, and less fear. Jesus never taught fear. If you read the Bible and what he taught, he never really taught fear.
But Frank, is it reading the Bible or understanding what's been written?
You have to understand. The
Interpret.
Bible is so complex and
Very complex.
and hidden words and parables and everything else. You have to dig into and understand what he is saying. He's not just, the church for many years taught on fear. Well, if you're going to sin, you're going to go to hell. If you're going to do this, you're going to go to hell. You're going to do that, you're going to go to hell. And that made you feel, I'm going to hell. I don't do this, I don't do that. Well, it's changing now. More of, you sin, but you got to repent for your sins. And you believe in Jesus,
Interpretations.
blah, blah, blah. But it's not, there's less of a fear factor, like you're saying. There's less of a factor of you thinking that you're small today. And depending on what organized establishment or temple or church or synagogue or mosque or congregation you attend, depends on what they're teaching in that congregation.
And beliefs change.
I agree.
And
Take a commercial break.
there are many mosques, I am sure, that are teaching the actual words, are teaching the good words that Allah gave through the religion. And then there are many mosques that are teaching the bad side. So,
Well-
so depending on what.
Well, history, we had the Holy Wars, which was a tough way to learn. Either you learn it or you get crucified upside down. But man is really strange because you can manipulate anything written and say that it's this.
Of course.
The interpretation.
You can change anything. This is one of the things I like about Lynn, is that if he tells you, I'm going to challenge you. I love this. I'm going to challenge you to write a book about you. You're going to know right away, because if they run away, you know what you're dealing with. If they stay and write well, you know what you're dealing with. And then somewhere in between all of that is truth.
Speak your truth.
Is truth. And then from there, you can move forward to do some of the things. This is why I admire what Frank and Lynn do, because they're at the point of their lives where they can talk to truth, but can you take it?
Let's take a commercial break.
I think the biggest problem people have today is we are stuck on judging everybody.
True that.
That's the problem.
It makes no sense either.
All right, let's take a commercial break.
Judge.
More to come when we come back. We have Frank and Lynn joining us. Let's get some good news out here and see what's happening on the top of the 1 o'clock hour. And we will be right back.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
Born in Marseille, France, Max Lazega creates whimsical and free-flowing interpretive art. His 40 years in the construction industry created the foundation for his craft. His unique work displays his view of the future with bold and playful combinations of materials and processes, but the methodology remains consistent. He fuses recycled materials and discarded building supplies into a fresh, well-executed approach. Lazega has lived in Miami, Florida most of his life, where he pursues his lifelong passion of creating industrial art. For more information, contact Max Lazega at artworkstudios.org or 786-326-8873.
Meet Jay Harmon, one of the many artists held in the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery. Jay specializes in various different art styles, but his medium to work with is colored pencils. His unique style comes from being self-taught and years of practice. Jay pulls his inspiration from many outlets like people, television, celebrities, and many more. With multiple original pieces, Jay's art graces the gallery with over 40 plus works for viewing and for purchase. His many years of being an artist has given him a chance to partner with the Derwent brand, giving him the opportunity to try many different work styles and further his craft. Feel free to come down and visit the studio to view his work, or if you're interested in your own Jay Harmon original, he's open to commissions on his website, coloredpencilartist.com, or catch his show, The Colored Pencil Artist, on Amp Media Productions on YouTube and Facebook. See you soon.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? What would you do if you had a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times treatment is fully covered, so why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed by law to take off time from work, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are two good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call us right now and save a life.
Call 855-350-4504. That's 855-350-4504. Call 855-350-4504 now.
Want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call, because the best prices are not online. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner. Call today and get the best price on your next flight, guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
Artist Rosie Sherman paints her passions to share with everyone. Expressing herself through bold and vibrant colors, her suggestion and style are always in flux. Inspired by travels, nature, romance, and the human spirit, Rosie makes sure her depiction of women are strong and proud. Her landscapes illustrate the changing seasons in the diverse world that we live in. To find her artwork in the multiple medias you can purchase, visit rosiesherman.pixels.com.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
Ho, ho, ho! Deck those halls and jingle those bells! Because it's that time of the year again. It's time for that winter breeze to come in the air and remind us what it really means to be merry. Well, except if you're from Florida. That's when the Florida heat and humidity puts us in the Christmas spirit. But no matter where you are, Christmas is the most magical time of year. A time of giving, a time of family, and some time for some amazing food. In fact, I think I smell some now. This is Cooking Up Chaos.
Good morning, boys and girls.
And welcome to Cooking with Chaos.
I'm your host, Bailey.
And I am, what's Chef Martin now?
Yeah, you're Chef Martin now.
I'm Chef Martin now.
Yeah.
Today we're gonna make little peanut butter and jelly snacks, but it's gonna be a little different this time.
Yeah. Instead of your typical peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we're making peanut butter and jelly roll.
Sushi.
Yeah, sushi.
Sushi rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can see this, ooh, it's nicely compact and it's all rolled up and it's like a little bite size. It's a little finger snack.
And don't do this. Just don't do this.
You don't got to worry about the crust either, because we're gonna take the crust off at the beginning.
I need mine now, so you guys don't have to witness it.
You can eat it. Give a little taste. Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is compacted in one bite.
Kind of.
Alright, so it's pretty simple. What you're gonna take, always use plastic and always reuse and recycle.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take I'll give you the knife after this, okay, Bailey?
Mm.
But we're just gonna take the crust off the bread. There you go.
Thank you.
Take the crust off the bread, so it's just a nice little square thing of bread. I don't know. What we're gonna do next? Let me try it. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh wow.
I know, right?
We're gonna take a rolling pin, put it in the center, start in the center, and we're gonna go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We're gonna press down pretty firmly, pretty hard. You don't gotta do too much, you just want it nice and thin. Nice and thin.
And remember, boys and girls, with any any kitchen tool, no matter what, have an adult help you, or have an adult on standby. Oh, how do you?
Let me move mine out of the way.
Okay, okay. Oh, thank you. Wait.
Push it down harder.
Wait.
Push down. Push down. There you go.
There you go.
After you got your little flat pieces of bread,
That looks like cheese.
what I like to do first is peanut butter. Nice little smear.
And I'm gonna do mine first with jelly.
You don't want too much because it is going to be rolled up all together.
You just want a nice
Nice little
little coating of it. Like one thin little layer of jelly, one thin little layer of peanut butter. And remember, boys and girls, it doesn't have to be peanut butter or jelly. It can be almond butter or marmalade, or sun butter and mint jelly.
Well, they had cayenne pepper jelly
Or you can
with Nutella. Ooh, try that.
you kids can like try that out if that fits your taste, boys and girls. Go ahead. Stop me. Oh. I can see, Josh. I think I'm Chef Martin. I think I'm starting to see why you put the peanut butter first.
Mm-hmm.
Trial and error, boys and girls. Trial and error. All right.
I think that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, after you have your peanut butter and jelly all on top of one little piece of bread, what we're going to do is we're going to take the end and tightly roll it. And you got a little jelly sticking out, but look at that.
A little better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And what you're going to do is just going to keep making them. Because one's not going to fill you up. I can promise you that right now. But the thing is, you can keep making them and making them and making them, and you got snacks for days.
Yeah, you
Fill this one again.
got yourself a lifetime supply of PBJ roll-ups.
Now, what can we do with the crust, though?
We'll think of something. We could probably perhaps like dip them in something. Thank you, Chef Martin.
Got my bread again. Got my roll pin.
Oh, here's a fun idea, boys and girls. For the crust, what you can do is you can probably like put it in an oven and use them with like little breadsticks and like dip in like your favorite sauces.
I was gonna say we can make croutons with them.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in the oven, make croutons with them, dip in whatever you desire, and boom, you got yourself instant fun snack for the kids, for you boys and girls.
Remember, you're gonna take the jelly, peanut butter, put a nice little light coat of each on top of another. Better not smush my PB and jelly anymore.
Ooh, I got some PBJ on me.
Put that back. Remember, it's gonna look like that. And then you take it and you just nicely roll it up. And you got a little jelly sticking out, which is good because that can be used as paste to keep the bread together with one another. And if you don't like that jelly, you can just scoop it right off.
All right, I'm gonna try your little method. Your method. Peanut butter first. My hands are gonna be so dirty after this.
What you can do with this leftover crumbs or leftover crust as well too is go to your local park and help feed the ducks. Make them happy.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, unless they like keto bread, that is.
You think they're on a keto diet, the ducks?
They could be. Some of them could be. You never know.
Or you can go fishing too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
I'll tell you a little tip. You take a ball. Don't expect to catch a 50-pound carp with this, but you get a ball. You smush it up. And you put a bobber halfway through or something like that. And you get this little tiny piece of bread. And you put it on the hook. Mayra, if you can zoom in on that tiny little ball. Look at that. Use that tiny little ball, you put it on the hook, okay? And you cast it in there. You just let it sit. You just let it sit because the fish are going to come by and try it out and see what it is. They're going to bite it. You're going to catch a nice little brim, nice little snapper, nice little something with it. And that's what you can use with the crust. You can tear them off. Tiny little piece. And just form it into a tiny little ball. Put it on the hook. And you got fish for days too. So you can endless supply of food by catching fish. Along with that, you can have a nice little tasty snack as well too.
Oh yeah, that is true.
You want fish and peanut butter and
I do.
jellies? Does that sound like a good combination?
Sounds like a delicious combination. At this point, we're talking about sushi, talking about fish so much, and we're making like sushi like stuff. We might as well bring over a nice big plate of tuna. Wait.
We're making one more.
Let's make one more. Okay. Okay.
I'll play him a little tune while you make this one.
It's too much peanut butter.
Wow! The ukulele is hard to play. That thing's a little out of tune, Daily.
Oh, my pleasure. Chef Martin.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm done with mine. I don't know what to do now.
We can eat it.
I'm gonna eat it, but I'm gonna wait till you're done with yours.
All right. Oh, thank you, Chef Martin. What are you going to be doing for New Year's?
Well, for New Year's, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be chillaxing, have a nice cup of apple juice and popcorn, and just watch the ball drop on my TV.
That's the way to go.
Oh yeah. So as you can see, we have our beautiful PB&J rolls, PB&J sushi rolls. You want to test them out now?
Oh, you bet. Let's try this one first.
All right, I'm gonna get this one. I kind of like it a little more than an actual PB&J, just because you get that one bite and it has everything. And like when you have a normal sandwich, you have everything, yes, but it's not like a whole bunch, you know, and if you have too much, it smears out. With this, it just everything comes at you at once. And you made a mess on the cutting board. You better clean that thing up.
I will.
Oh!
In a jiffy.
It's good. I don't think that's it.
Stay tuned, boys and girls, for more chaos.
Next week, we'll have Big Dog Baxton back. And he'll be back on the show to help you little boys and girls cook some nice things up. Look at this. Look at this little mess. We just bought this, too.
I know, right?
All right, whatever. All right, peace out, boys and girls.
This has been Cooking Up Chaos. There'll be more chaos in the kitchen.
Do you hear that outside? It sounds like there is something on the roof. It sounds like old Saint Nick. That means it's time to bake those cookies. And don't get caught if you want to take a lookie. Speaking of cookies, I smell some in the oven right now. Those must be my cookies. Happy holidays from our family to yours. This is the Cookie Chaos.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
And welcome back. You got to see a little bit of the
Cooking Up Chaos.
Cooking with Chaos, which is the Kids Television Network piece as well. Also, I want to make an announcement that we have for that.
Space of Mind.
That, yep.
Come join the party. Pub in the Hub, Saturday, January 21st at 7 o'clock. It is Space of Mind. It is a homeschool concept open to the community. They have a spectacular event happening. Music, food, 21 artists are going to be there. Beer and music and taking a look around the school, auctions, raffle baskets. They always have a whole lot of fun. They haven't had one. It's been 3 years. I can't believe you and I were there 3 years ago, like in the blink of an eye.
And in the last 3 years, she's come up with a phenomenal concept that we're going to be part of.
Nice, thank you guys. There it is.
And that's the deal. So we're going to be there as well. So come and take a tour as to the unveiling of what they're going to do, which is tremendous.
Their
This
community
thing-
CCK, Community Classroom Kitchen. Proceeds of this event go to support this, but check out this kitchen. It is state-of-the-art for the kids, for the chefs of Delray, a full production studio within it, a little bit of other spaces that we're going to talk about as we go forward. It's just amazing.
And we pitched some ideas for them as well. We're going to see how that works out. But first order of business, January 21st.
2 weeks from tomorrow, Saturday night. We're going to be there taking some video, doing some interviews, working with the kids that we get to do again. Which
How
is
do you
a
get
nice
tickets?
You can get tickets on Eventbrite or go to their website, Space of Mind.
Space of Mind. Go to Space of Mind, look it up, get the tickets, meet us there, take the tour. I got to tell you, in the 16 years that I've been doing this, I have never seen a concept like this. This is tremendous. This is going to go from coast to coast, north to south. I mean, it's tremendous. The concept they have, they are the only people that have come up with this idea. The only ones, and we're going to add to make it even bigger.
It's a great school. If they had a school like this and my kids were going to school, Chelsea definitely would have thrived here. Now she teaches there, but as a student, she would have totally thrived. Sometimes big schools are hard, and now with what's happening in schools, I got to tell you, I'm glad I don't have kids right now, but you got grandkids that are starting to go to school.
Well, I was in the
People are a little leery on the public school
system. When I was in the public school system, I grew up on it. It was hard for me because I didn't speak English well.
People are worried about safety and a lot
that
of
was on
things
top
now
of
that
everything
people are worried
else.
about.
But you needed that special type of attention. You needed.
You had Mrs. Goldstein, but not everyone has Mrs. Goldstein.
You know, I think Gia was another one that would benefit from that because if you create your own bubble, and that's what happens at this school, these kids are tremendous.
True that. So check this out. Anyone wants to join us, more to come on that as well. All right, what else you got? Coffee news.
Coffee news. We have my friend Joe just came in with his 127 ailments.
Well, only since he met you, he said, though.
Only since he met me. You believe that? I make him sick. Wow, my ex-wife used to say that. But anyway, 954-951-7870. Get your coffee news on. And I'm not going to read the horoscopes and everything else. We'll leave that for Monday morning show.
Okay.
But like I said, if you walk into any place that has coffee news in there and you see Dawn's picture or mine, depending on what area you are, that place that has it, that she signs, they call up and they get to have 30 minutes on the show on us and some coffee. Like La Condesa, you know, we talked to them, right? This is on Airport Road.
Yes.
I went there with Linda.
Was it good?
It was packed. Guy says, I can't talk to you right now.
Check that out.
Well, my goodness gracious, they say the food is great. I don't know. We're going to find out. All right.
All right, so what else you got in there? Anything else?
No, you're not reading now. What are you doing?
I'm just glancing to see what else is in here. More to come, but we've got Space of Mind coming in next week. We've got some, Black Pearl Limousine, some longtime friends of ours
That's
coming
Monday,
in.
Right?
Tuesday. New York Mets are very frustrated with Carlos Carrera
Yeah, I
negotiations.
know that. I already read that. That's old news. Take it down. He's going to go to Minnesota Twins, I hear,
You're
for
very
the
cranky over
$286
that.
million guaranteed. I don't know how you can guarantee that kind of money when a guy has a questionable leg. I would do it if it was my money. I give him 287 million reasons to stay, but what do I know?
I'm reading about lava. You'll read the book and understand why.
All right, give me
Just
the
saying.
paper there, Missy.
Just saying. Anyway,
Oh, and Kenny Love's show is not going to air today. For those of you that stick
postponed
around,
until next week.
postponed until next week, so you can come back and catch your cup of love from Mr. Kenny Love. What else you got?
What else you got? We're talking to Frank and Lynn about parallel lives, past lives, going forward.
And if you want to catch a live version of Lynn's show, it's on Thursdays at what time?
5:30. I wanted to talk to you, Lynn, 'cause I love the way you start to move around and do some things. But I was thinking maybe we can segment it. And you and Louise take a chapter in your book. And Frank, maybe we can think about doing this with one of your books also. Like with our evening time with the radio when he went through his books. And get people reacquainted with your books. And maybe the chapters, maybe you do a 10-minute, instead of doing the rest of your interview there with your guest, maybe you talk 10 minutes about a chapter in your book. Or your concept of past lives, parallel lives. Because it's great to interview people, but I feel like people need to know more about you and Louise.
Yeah, we, one of the recent conversations we had was that we were already writing our book within 6 weeks of discovering our past life connection. And so it was really getting into the doing of it right away. But what we didn't do, that we're actually giving ourselves time to do now, is to actually focus more on the being of it. And, how do we take what came from that life and how do we use it in this life? How do we use it to augment this life or support us in our work and things like that? So like I said, we're starting to do that now. And because if you're going to have an experience like this, there have to be benefits that come with it,
Absolutely.
right? And it's not just like, rush. I mean, we were so excited about it in the beginning. It's like, we have to tell people about this. So that's when we started writing the book, to tell the story. But we really didn't give ourselves a lot of time for us to ground ourselves in that reality that we were experiencing. So we have a new project we're working on that we'll talk about on the show. It's but I will say it's something that is going to support college-bound high school students in the local area. And so we're in the process of doing all the development of that now. And but yes, we could talk about the 12 sacred lessons that are in the book.
And maybe each week you pick one.
Yes, and we can do that. There are 15 chapters in the book, and 12 of them have lessons, sacred lessons associated with them. And these are lessons that Louise shared with me in that past life. And now we're bringing them forward. And they're all really important lessons, like speaking our truth, triggers are our gifts, having a willingness to be open, just really important stuff as we go through life. Things that will help us to live a better life. So we will start doing some introduction to those lessons and coming up with the real core things that we can share with people, and then they'll get more from the book, and then we'll be at some point down the road we'll be developing all of it as a curriculum.
Nice. To
be able to take into schools and also work with parents. To develop these things in their homes with their kids. So, million different directions we can go in, but it's kind of like a first things first. So we're buying ourselves some time to just kind of sit with it a little bit, right? It's like it was such a powerful, unusual, crazy experience that, you know, we both got caught up in the idea of we want to share this with the world. And so that's why we wrote the book, but we were so focused on the doing that we didn't really take the time to allow all the benefits of it to settle in with us.
But the 12 messages, especially now as we come out of Christmas, I don't want Christmas to only be on Christmas, you know, or Hanukkah, or the message of faith like we talked with Frank about. We should be living these messages and living our truths every day. And there are times that we're not going to be able to, but then you want to be able to dig deep and say, you know what, I need to find that message again. And I heard this on Lynn's show, or Frank mentioned this on, you know, on Frank's show on Spirit Life TV. And I need to find that core strength when times get tough, because things in life get tough. Right now my plate is so full, I need a bigger platter. You got to dig deep and find those core truths and strengths that we have, and not just wait till Christmas. And now I think is the perfect time to bring it forward, because then we keep going, and you hear the messages that you guys bring. I mean, I love this one, love is eternal. When you're open to all possibilities, the magic is created.
That pulls it all together, right? And especially love at the soul level, because that's really what we're talking about, because love at the soul level is God's love, right? And so that's the love that's eternal.
You know, and you and Louise don't have an intimate relationship.
Right.
But you have a love for each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But it's, you know, we know we've been together in other lives, or we've been in each other's lives in other lives, always in it, you know, often in different capacities, right? It's not always going to be the same thing every time. And there's a certain sense in which when you have this soul connection, that it's really, that's what most everybody else is actually trying to achieve through their romantic relationships. We're already there. So we don't really need to do that.
Right.
Right? But it's just fascinating, because it's really kind of a one of a kind thing where you have such a knowing about the other person, that you know that like our commitment to each other is to seek the best for each other, even if that doesn't involve the other person.
So I was going to ask you, soul connection does not necessarily mean a romantic connection.
No, it can be any connection. You can have, you know, the concept of soulmates, right? We've Disneyfied everything in our world, right? So you know, soulmate, well, that must be a romantic relationship. Well, not necessarily. I have a soulmate relationship with my son, and that's not a romantic relationship.
Sure.
Right? That's a father-son thing. But you know, there's just a level on which we're able to communicate and understand each other, and that's what's important, you know. And we go back to, I keep going back to what Frank said earlier, was it's not about I, it's about we. So we look at these different relationships, and, you know, the most beautiful part of it is how do we create the we on whatever level we're going to do it, because these all become places almost like incubators, right? If you can create a we relationship, whether it's business partners or whatever it is, you're creating an example, a smaller, you know, a micro example of what we all want the bigger world to look like. So first we go from ourselves, and then it's like, oh, well, let's do this with another person. Let's do this with family. Let's do this within a business. Let's do this within a community. Let's do this within a city, a state, a country, and the world.
You know what's interesting is we start this way in kindergarten and preschool. We come together, right? Our friends and play dates and everything we do, we learn in kindergarten and preschool. And then as we grow, we become more of an I. What are your grades? Are you gifted? What's your IQ? What school do you get into? And we leave this center of being with other people and growing together as a group and friends, to the eye. And then I feel that we get back to our age and the next stage, we're back to realizing that we are stronger as the sum of our parts instead of individual. But there's a big gap in between of people we need to reach.
I think people are afraid. I think people are afraid to say they love someone because they think that everybody's going to take that connotation as being sexual.
Interesting.
But you can love someone, like Lynn said, and it's not sexual. You just love them.
Right.
You know, and I think as a society we've lost that. We've got to the point where everybody we've sexualized everything.
Well, also when you say it and somebody doesn't say it back, you feel at a loss. Or if they look at you cockeyed, you feel at a loss, and then you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid that, well, I'm glad you feel that way, but I don't feel that way about you. That old friendship zone thing that comes about, but it's not sexual. It's just trying to understand what the words mean.
Right, but everybody's taking it. Everybody is taking it as a sexual statement, and I think we need to get away from that because you can love someone, and not like Lynn said. I don't, I love my son. That's not a sexual thing. I love him because he's my son.
But
you
that's
can love
easy.
someone as your friend.
Yeah,
not
but
a
your
sexual
son
thing,
is
'cause
easy.
I love him as my friend.
But can you love someone as a friend without it being perceived, or do we not care? It's the judgment thing that you were both speaking about.
So we're right. We're everybody is judging everybody in the wrong manner, and I think we've started in, and what I've seen lately is a trend starting in school is we're sexualizing everything.
We're labeling everything, right?
And negative judgment is a whole lot easier to spit out than positive judgment. You could do 1,000,000 shows perfect, and then one you get a hiccup on, and they condemn you for that one. What about that other 1,000,000 shows that we just did? That doesn't even count. You're only as good as the latest thing today that you do. Everything else goes by the wayside. I mean, who lives like that?
That's what society
We're
has
all
become.
living like that.
We're living.
That's what we're doing now.
That's why to get your messages out, what the messages are for all of your books. Lynn, your 12 Sacred Lessons. Frank, your message of faith and everything. I'm sure even the Jack Steinhaus novels have a message. Not Steinhaus. Stenhouse, thank you.
So I did
There's a
a
message.
social media post this morning that I want to share with you because I wrote about what I'm calling the illusion of protection. Because most of us, we're set up, our ego is set up to protect us from emotional pain. And so maybe we put up walls, we do different things to protect our egos from emotional pain. But rejection is an emotional pain. And then it's like, but then we have to keep doing more protection. And we keep doing more protection. But what we find out at the end of all the protection is that we were never protected in the first place. That was just a story. That was an illusion to somehow make it so that the rejection that we make up doesn't hurt. But the thing about rejection that we don't understand is that in many cases, the other person is not rejecting us, they're rejecting themselves. But we make everything about ourselves, going back to I versus we again, Frank. We make everything about ourselves when we don't understand that that person had to reject themselves on some level before they could reject us. Because whatever happens inside us first before it goes out to someone else. And that's the piece that we miss.
So do you think that people don't say it because they are expecting rejection? They're not going to be understood. It's not going to be understood. So if you say it and it comes back to haunt you, then you're never going to say it again. So all of a sudden you're learning a bad lesson.
It's part of it.
So how do you overcome it? How do you stand up and say, you know something? It don't matter whether you believe me or not, but I love you. And then if they say to you, well, I don't feel the same way, then maybe they're just misinterpreting the word love. Maybe you say something like, I admire you. You inspire me. You give me reason. You start throwing all these adjectives because the love word today ain't the same love word
That's
20
the
years
problem.
ago or younger when we were around. It's changed.
Well, there's variations of it too, right?
Yes.
There's a difference between I love you and love you, right? Because the love you doesn't put the I in there because that's a person wants to take even less risk.
That's a good point.
than saying the whole thing because now I'm worried, oh, it's going to be misunderstood. And it's like, wait a minute. You know, the love is love. And it doesn't need to be qualified in a million different ways. And but you can't say I love you and then do things that hurt someone after the word I love you comes out. And that's where so many people in our world are struggling is because they've been told I love you a million times by a person who then actually did things that proved anything other than love.
The I love you but.
Yeah, right. Or I love you and now I'm going to gaslight you. And I'm going to make you think you're crazy, and I'm going to do all this kind of stuff, and I just tell you I'm loving you. I love you because that's part of my manipulation and control of you. And so we also have to understand that even love, as beautiful of a concept of it is, has also been misapplied and misused. So we can understand that sometimes people don't want to hear it because it's not been their experience that what comes after that is actually action that matches up to the sentiment of the words I love you.
So it's back to
Well,
the actions
you
and the words.
just packed a whole lot of information in that paragraph. Because I'm sitting here, you ever sit when people talking, it pictures things that happen in your life and things that you went through and things that you said or saw somebody else go through. My goodness gracious, it is difficult if you listen to what he says, not to be afraid, to be honest with you, not to be afraid to say anything. I love you, I don't love you, I care for you. I mean, my goodness gracious. I'm sitting here listening to what he's saying, and my whole film of things that I've said. I mean, I've been married twice. I don't know how many times you guys have been married. I've been married twice, and I failed at them. I never say they failed at them. I say I failed at them. Because half the boat was me.
But love is different. Our love for our crew, your love for your children, is even different than your love for your grandchildren. But it all falls under this word love.
Everything.
One word.
Everything falls under the umbrella.
It's a different version of the meaning of the word.
But then show it. I think what the gentlemen are talking about here, live up to the walk. You know, you care something about somebody, then live it, do it. You care about the hungry. How many times did you give a bag of McDonald's or whatever to a homeless person? Or buy him a case of water? Or just sit and talk and maybe you give them a lotto ticket. God help them if they hit. I mean, how many times did you really do it? Though you wanted to do it. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to do the right thing because you feel good about yourself if you do. But is that the reason you do it? It's to feel good about yourself because there are other ways of making you feel good about yourself. And I think that the message today with these two guys in-house is you got to find that message. You got to find it. We had an incident last year with that little house over there made a difference in somebody's life. She came back to tell us thank you. My goodness gracious. And that went all the way to Ohio and somebody else's life changed because of that little house. So if you want to hear more about that, you got to come in here.
It's like Little House on the Prairie, Little House above the door.
That's
yes.
right. And that house ain't never going to be taken down.
Yes.
Because that thing has more significance than anything else in all these walls in here. We got a lot of stuff on the walls.
It's interesting. The power of, you coming out to chat?
You got to get a mic?
Grab a mic.
Maybe.
Ah, look at that.
What number you got?
3.
Do they know it?
Yeah, they know.
So after all that is being said, what do you feel? I'm going to put you on the spot right
Oh,
away.
I just came out here.
Well, you were listening. You were on the board.
How do you know I was listening?
Because I know you.
I wasn't listening
Birds
at
are
all.
flying and everything else. How do you feel about self-worth, loving yourself so that you can do the good things in life for everybody else?
Well, that's the whole airplane concept. You got to take care of yourself before you got to take care of others.
How do you know you're there?
You don't.
Ever?
No, you just got to keep going.
Keep learning?
Yeah.
It ain't easy being, okay, they're cutting off his
It ain't
hand.
easy being green. That's what Kermit said.
It ain't easy being green.
The word love,
Yeah.
what it means to you. You love Jack, you love your mom, you love your sister,
Yeah.
but you love your buddies.
Yeah.
Same word, different meaning.
No, I don't think so.
No?
Same meaning?
I
You
love
everybody the same?
yeah, I love everyone the same. Obviously, except for your significant other. That's a different love. That's a completely different love. But everyone else, I look at the same. I love everyone the same. Because I'm not going to put anyone higher than others. Everyone else is equal to me.
Isn't anybody bigger in your spectrum? Somebody that inspires you more, or something that happens bigger? It's not judgment, it's just the pecking order, like Vince Lombardi used to say. God, family, and the Green Bay Packers.
Oh. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I love everyone the same, but there's certain people that I'll do more for them. For my mom, I'm going to do everything for her, but I'm not going to do everything for, like, my neighbor, even though I still love them because they've been there all my life.
It's a different word. You know, the word shalom means a whole lot too.
Who?
Shalom. Hello, goodbye, peace. It's a universal word for many.
Goodbye, peace, respect, completeness, correctness.
One word.
One word.
One people, one word.
In Puerto Rican, it's
One
get or get got.
Bible. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalim.
It's interesting, right?
In Puerto Rican.
It's funny. I was reading that they think they found the tomb of the midwife for Mary.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
Right? She was actually the assistant midwife, apparently, because she did not deliver the baby, but she was able to go in and she had she had burned her arm until she was able to see the baby Jesus. And she's from the family of Salami, from Shalom.
Salami?
Salome.
So
Salome.
let me get this right. They can trace back the midwife.
Well, I'm going to ask these guys because we're talking about parallel lives, past lives, tombs of the great. I mean, you talk about who they're honoring now, the midwife of Mary. That they found this tomb. Apparently, she's from a very wealthy Jewish family based on the tomb they found, the cave of all these artifacts and candles and globes and everything.
Is that true?
I don't know. Let's ask our scholars over
It's not
here.
in the Bible. I mean, it's possible. I've heard that supposedly that there are different stories that, yeah, there was a midwife. It's not really in the Bible, so I can't say if it's true or false. It's possible.
We got to figure someone must have helped deliver him. You needed a second pair of hands on the what it is, right? He had to come out into the world. It wasn't just like, here we go.
There's writings. There are prophetic writings that there was no midwife. That the angel delivered Jesus.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but they have that whole, she was impregnated and virgin and the whole nine by the Holy Spirit.
She was pregnant by the Holy Spirit, that the angel delivered Mary.
But Joseph was there.
She didn't. Joseph was there. Joseph was there, but he was veiled, right?
Was he veiled?
Joseph was there, but he was sort of veiled by the angels, that we didn't really know what was going on. And Mary did not really go through labor. Jesus just was presented.
Birthed.
Interesting.
But that's what we had.
That's one version. That's
Interesting. But all about love, right?
But then there's people, and then I've seen stories where there was a midwife that helped her. So.
Well, I got to tell you, Frank, the reason I believe Virgin Mary and all of that comes about is because women were considered property in those times. They weren't equal to men in those times. And that has come up through the ages about women always being second to man. So, again, it comes back. And I hate saying this. I hate saying it, and you're probably going to get in trouble for saying it. Man cannot give birth. A man cannot give birth. It is the one thing that no matter whatever color crayon you use to explain it, it ain't never going to happen. So because of that, in my estimation, man is jealous of women. Sorry. I mean, I'm saying this from my heart, not to be selfish or judgmental. I'm a man. I don't want to give birth, but I can't. I can't do that. And a woman can. So in my estimation, the whole episode of giving, in my world, the Messiah birth, I don't care how he came out. Midwife, Joseph, I could have been a camel for all I care about. Because it's the growth of the man and his message that means everything to me. Not how he got here. I mean, my Virgin Mary that I live with was my mother. And if you think that the only thing there is important is the word virgin, then you don't know what a mother means. It's mother. So that to me is the gift. I don't care how you decipher it. I don't care what crayon you use. Something that comes out of that, something that comes that good out of a mom, which we can agree to, had to be a mother, right? Had to be a female. You sort of have to tip your hat and say, you know what? It's okay. The camels gave him birth. The kings. Let's talk about the kings. What does
that's
the
right.
kings,
Today is 3 Kings Day.
What does the kings mean to you guys? If it's true.
They were astrologers that were following. They knew the star was coming. They wanted to see what.
How did they know where to go? How did
Well, they followed it. Supposedly they followed it, and the star led them to there. But
And they
it's
showed up?
basically- And then they showed up. But basically, I think they were kings. They were leaders of their people, and they were paying homage to the ultimate king.
And they left the gifts in shoes or something
And
like that?
they left gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Frankincense against, yes. And it's interesting because the 3 kings, when I was growing up, it was always until the 8th. Now somewhere I lost a couple of days. It's back to the 6th.
Well, they
Soon
say
it'll be
it's the
the
12
4th.
days of Christmas. If Christmas is on the 25th,
Yeah, but it's always been on the 25th.
so it should always have been
We
the 6th.
celebrated till the 8th. I don't know why. I
Maybe
never
your dad worked
understood.
on the 6th. I don't know.
I never understood why. All I know is I got a gift on the 8th, which
Yeah?
I was really happy about. Always. Always. So if you're going to order something on Amazon or something, wait until today. Now it's
Well,
the 6th.
it's called the Day of Epiphany. That's when the kings visited Jesus, and I think that's when the Greeks celebrate Christmas. They don't celebrate it on the 25th. They celebrate it on Epiphany Day because that's when the gifts were given.
And what does epiphany mean?
I don't know what Epiphany means.
Well, you said Epiphany Day. You got to know what it means.
I don't know. I have to
Well,
look it up.
Epiphany, I would say it's the day of awakening.
In current
An
terms,
awakening, yeah.
an epiphany is an
awakening.
understanding.
An awakening, you know.
Yeah.
The light is on?
I got an enlightenment.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Epiphany.
It's interesting.
So that's with, I think the Greeks and the Greek Orthodox, they celebrate Christmas on Epiphany because that's when the gifts were given.
I think so does Russia. Didn't they ask for a ceasefire today? And Ukraine said, "Oh,
And
no,
then
so
Russia, too.
sorry."
I think Russian Orthodox do.
Yeah.
is
Yep.
Epiphany.
There you go. Wow. That's amazing.
So
I get
was
a
that,
whole
by
new
the
day-
way?
Well, that's why I got it, because I remember the day we had the conversation about
The
it.
day of awakening, yep.
A lot of
Epiphany.
stuff.
I also just saw that they actually think they found remnants of the Ark.
Now, I've heard this story for 50 years. Everywhere. They went to Siberia. They went all over the place and they find a ship stuck in the middle of the desert. It says, this has to be the Ark.
Because they found it there. I think they found it on the mountain in Turkey. We're supposed
Yeah,
to
Mount Ararat, but that was 40, 50 years ago. That one was
But then
too.
they lost it, and then they couldn't go back.
Oh.
Then the Turkish government wouldn't let them go back up there or something. I don't know, but I think that they found it again.
It is interesting how many archaeological finds have been found.
And I wanted to ask the wise men here, how did the pyramids come about? Before we got to go.
Well, you can ask
How did the pyramids
the
come
king
about?
of Mexico over there, the Aztec
Yeah,
pyramids.
we're going to go to Mr. King over there, too. Where did they come
I
from?
have my own theory how they
Well,
came
tell
about.
me. I want to hear it.
I think they were helped by visitors. I don't think they had the technology. Yeah. There are some relics here on Earth that are. There's no way they had the technology back then to do what they did.
And to build them so high.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
if you're
there are sites in Peru where the rocks were put together and one rock was melted to put the other one together. How did they have the technology 5,000 years ago or 2,000
Well,
years
let's
ago.
talk to the king who was there.
So there, well, it's actually a local example. Have you ever been to the Coral Castle in Miami?
Well, yeah.
No, I have
Okay.
not. Tell me about that.
So the Coral Castle was a man many years ago doing work, and he did all his work at night so nobody could see what he was doing, but he literally built this whole like tribute to a wife who stood him up at the altar. And but he worked at night, and one of the things that he did, there's a 6,000-pound door that somehow he got out of the ground. It's all coral, and he got it up, and you can move this door with your finger. 6,000 pounds.
Wow.
Is it on hinges?
So there would have to have been. I actually agree with Frank. I think there was help from other places. You know, we started off talking about these different planets and things. Where I don't think we're alone here. It's like, you know, yes, Earth is the center of whatever. I think a lot of it is we're just the center of our own minds.
I think the pyramids in Egypt were designed to generate energy because no pharaoh was found in any of those pyramids. They keep saying that was a burial tomb for pharaohs.
Unless they
No
were
pharaohs
stolen,
found in it.
Frank.
They were found in the Valley of the Kings.
Now
No
let me
pharaohs
ask you,
were found in the
real quick, because we're running out of time. When the lands were put all together, you know, we broke apart in the
one big
Pangea.
It was just one big thing, yes. If you look at the South American pyramids, and how you doing? And you look at the pyramids in the Nile, were they built at the same time, more or less, DNA?
No. Some of the pyramids that look alike, you have pyramids in the Far East and pyramids in South America look exactly the same.
Right, because the lands were all together. I could see that. But what I want to understand is which one was first? Was it South America? Was it China? Was it the Great Pyramid? I want to know.
All different ages.
The first rock.
I think the ones in Far East were earlier than the ones in like the Mayan or the Aztec.
So they would have been to the west of the continent global.
But they supposedly, according to the archaeologists, are only a few thousand years old. Supposedly.
Well, we ran
But-
out of time, but that
but, you know,
fascinates me.
Look at the temple. Look at the first temple in Jerusalem.
But the Sphinx was, now they think the Sphinx was about 50,000 years
Those are just
What do you got,
spectacular.
Josh?
Around 2780 BCE, King Djoser's architect Imhotep built the first pyramid by placing 6 mastabas, each smaller than the one beneath, in a stack to form a pyramid rising in steps. The pyramid stands on the west bank of the Nile River at Saqqara near Memphis.
So that's in that region. That was probably the first. But what I want to know is when all the lands were together, if it's in China, it would have been in the corner. If it's in South America,
I think Pangea was before the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
But before the dinosaurs.
The largest pyramid's in Mexico.
We're going to
Humans
have
did
to.
not exist during the time of Pangea. Pangea formed between 300 million and 335 million years ago and began to break apart about 200 million years ago. People don't know how young we are compared to the Earth.
Yeah, but I have something that's, there are fossilized footprints, I believe in Utah or one of the central states where there are fossilized footprints of dinosaurs and people.
All right, more to come because
And
we
archaeologists can't. We don't know.
We're going to have to talk more about this stuff because
Jurassic
the way
Park
it's put
lives.
together has a lot to say what happened on this planet.
I bet that's in a book somewhere.
It's coming out.
It's in one of Frank's books, I am sure.
It's in one of my books.
More to come. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tell everyone where we can get all of these books.
My book's available on Amazon. Just search by my name, Frank A. Ruffolo. Or you can contact me, frankarofolo@gmail.com, if you want autographed copies.
And Lynn?
And the reuniting of 2 past lives and the unveiling of the 12 sacred lessons is available on Amazon.
And come on down on Thursdays, 5 o'clock, meet with Lynn. We're going to invite Frank. We're going to do something with Frank a little bit more so you can come down and meet the authors because there's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot to talk
A
about.
lot to talk about.
Speak Your Truth 2023. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Stay safe. Be kind to each other. We'll see you Monday. Yay, we're back on Monday.
And don't be late.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's about it for today. Even though the show's over, the Brooklyn Cafe is always open for business. You're invited to join the fun every day from 12 to 2. If you missed some of the laughs from today, Dawn and Freddie S. will bring you more good cheer next time. You can follow the Brooklyn Cafe on Facebook at the Brooklyn Cafe TV to rewatch every minute of the show. We'll see you next time.